The Big Ten standing firm in CFP expansion talks protects Ohio State's path to the playoff.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Thursday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens. That's your sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And during today's show, we will discuss a Buckeye commit that North Carolina flipped, as well as what the playoff format might look like in 2026. But first, the Big Ten and the SEC hold the power to decide what the playoff format will be in 2026. Both conferences are in agreement that the playoff format should change from a 12-team format to a 16-team format. The issue comes in that the two sides don't agree with the format or how many conference games each conference should play. The SEC plays 8 conference games a year. The Big Ten plays 9. Tony Petitti believes the Big Ten should get 4 automatic qualifiers into the playoff, and he's not going to change his tune until the SEC adds another conference game to the regular season schedule. And I love his passion. I love him standing on what he believes in, standing on business. And while he's standing on business, he's helping Ohio State. Because in most years, more often than not, the Buckeyes are going to be a top 4 team in the conference, which means they're automatically into the playoff. Oh, in most years, Ohio State's going to be a top 16 team in the country, so they're automatically going to be into the playoff. So even if it's a 12-team format, the Buckeyes are going to be in there. And so you want a commissioner that's going to stand on what he believes in and protect the schools inside the conference he is leading. While he is doing that, he's helping Ohio State pave a clear path to the college football playoff, which is what the Buckeyes want. Ryan Day and Ohio State want a commissioner that's going to speak for them. That when it comes to standing up to a commissioner of a powerful conference, he's not going to say, oh, you're more powerful than me. I am just going to bow to whatever you want me to do and want me to say. Oh, you want us to allow your 8-game conference schedule to be equal to our 9-game conference schedule? Okay, I'm going to bow down to you, Greg Sankey, because you are the man that's speaking for not just the SEC. You're speaking for the conference that I am leading. Tony Petitti's not that guy, and I'm here for it. I am 100% here for a man that is not going to waver and not going to bow down to somebody because that conference says it just means more. Not only does that conference say it just means more, they also have been pounding the table to try to get you and I to believe that the SEC playing 8 conference games a year is better and tougher than the Big Ten playing 9 conference games a year. Make it make sense. There are a lot of smart coaches down there in the South, and I'm not trying to say they're not smart. But as I know, a smart coach can say something that does not make sense at times. And this is one of them. For some reason, I can't wrap my head around why the 8-game conference schedule of the Southeastern Conference is better than the 9-game conference schedule that the teams play in the Big Ten Football Conference. And as you're going to see, if you just look back to last year, when the Big Ten and the SEC play, who has the upper hand? The Big Ten. The Big Ten won the past 2 national championship games. The SEC wasn't in those natties at all. Also, if you look back to last year, I believe these 2 conferences were not even close in games that were played on the field. And that might be why they're trying to pound the table and say, oh, it just means more. Our conference schedule is better than yours. Oh, you know what? You want to know what else is weird about their schedule? I mean, Ohio State's fallen into this trap too. I don't really like it. But the SEC plays one FCS opponent every year. And for most of the schools in that 16-team league, they play that opponent before they play their biggest rivalry game. It's also late in the year. That's dumb. I'm not a fan. Just get it out here really quickly. I'm not a fan of Ohio State playing Grambling State, an FCS opponent. No, I'm not a fan of Ohio State playing Youngstown State. I know it's an in-state school. I don't care at all. It shouldn't be on the schedule. They aren't created equal. Not at all. Even if you look at just FBS level. Ohio State's not created equal to Ohio, to Toledo, to Bowling Green. They're not created equal. So, no, they're not. But it's even worse when you go down to the FCS level. No power conference team should play an FCS opponent. Never, ever, ever. That goes to the Southeastern Conference. That goes to the Big Ten. That goes for everybody else that's in a Power 4 school conference. You shouldn't play an opponent at the FCS level. I don't care about the benefit, the financial benefit for that smaller school for playing Ohio State or Alabama or Auburn. I don't care. That's a bad financial move. That's a bad business model for that school. It doesn't make sense. But what does make sense is that Tony Petitti is making moves to protect the schools inside the conference he is leading. And while doing that, he's helping Ohio State. And Ryan Day sees that. Ryan Day knows the kind of man Tony Petitti is. He's had numerous conversations with him to figure out how he's planning on leading the conference, how he's trying to be innovative and think outside the box. Very similar to Ross Bjork and how Ross Bjork is thinking outside the box in ways that he can enhance the game day experience for fans like you and I. When I say game day experience, it's not just the in-game experience. It's the game day experience to where you know when you are there on campus, walking up to the shoe or walking up to the shot, the game day experience itself is bigger, it's better, and it feels like a big deal. And what feels like a big deal is these two conferences that hold the power to decide the playoff format not being on the same page. I get it. While I'm not a fan of the 4 automatic qualifiers, I'm not mad about Tony Petitti trying to make sure that his conference gets quality teams in, that his conference also makes a whole lot of money. It makes sense. But what doesn't make sense, and I'm not trying to be a guy that's trying to just be negative here on a Thursday, right on the heels of a feel-good Friday. I want to be very, very positive, especially in the summer, especially before we get into Big Ten Media Days. We'll be diving deeper into what Ohio State and Ryan Day should do when they get up there behind the podium to represent the Buckeyes in the best way that they can. Tony Petitti's job is a fun one at times. It can also be very, very stressful. I don't like that the Big Ten and the SEC hold the power to decide the playoff format. I don't at all. I wish the ACC and the Big 12 and even Notre Dame had a seat at the table because those are the power, the people and the conferences that hold the power to the playoff. Honestly, I will be very, very happy if at some point they say, oh, we're not getting the 5 highest ranked conference champions to be automatically inside the playoff. No, make it 4. And I understand the 5 because maybe the belief internally was that the Pac-12 would once again be a power conference. Well, that's not going to happen. I believe there'll be a recognized conference in 2026, but still, they're not going to be a conference that is still a power conference. So why make it 5? Oh, wait, they can change that. These 2 conferences, will they? I don't know. I do know this. Ryan Day and Ohio State are going to benefit in a big way from Tony Petitti not backing down, not wavering, by standing firm on what he believes in. Greg Sankey doesn't like it. I understand it. This is coming from a report from Brett McMurphy of On 3. Got to get used to saying that because he is no longer with Stadium. He is now with a new outlet. Does a great job covering the sport. He also has got some news that benefits Ohio State. While he has news that benefits the Buckeyes, what will the playoff format look like in 2026, and will it benefit Ohio State? We'll talk about that next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Tony Petitti is my man. He is doing a great job of representing the conference and not backing down to Greg Sankey. And while he isn't backing down to Greg Sankey, There is a format that the Big Ten believes the playoff format should have in 2026, but I don't think that's what the format's going to look like. And it's not because I don't think Tony Petitti is a guy that's going to stand on business. I think we are going to be in a scenario where the 12-team playoff might live past 2025 because with the way that these two conferences are, the big heads that the commissioners have while backing up the schools inside their conferences, I have a hard time believing that these two sides are going to come to an agreement by December 1st on what the playoff format is going to look like. And I'm talking about the Big Ten and the SEC. Yes, there will be influenced by Notre Dame, the Big 12, and the ACC. The influence isn't going to go away. However, what's also not going to go away is that deadline. And while they're being influenced by all these different parties, the deadline's still going to be there. And I got a hard time believing that they're going to come to an agreement on the playoff field by December 1st. And if that happens, the 12-team playoff will live on in 2026, and it will be 5 automatic qualifiers for the 5 highest-ranked conference champions, and then the rest of the field will be filled in by at-large berths or basically straight seeding. I'm here for it. I'm here for that. I'm not a fan of expansion. It does water down the product in the playoff field. Even in the NFL, when they expanded to add more teams in, I didn't like it. The NBA, you have 8 teams that are supposed to get into the playoff. There's 8 playoff seeds. However, you have a play-in format that now allows the 9th and 10th best teams in a particular conference to have a shot to make the NBA playoffs. That is stupid. You have played 82 regular season games, and all of a sudden, you're going to have a play-in game or play-in series that will allow for teams to cement their spot. Look, if you aren't there in 82 games, you shouldn't have another shot to make it in. No, what are we doing? Why are we trying to have all these handouts to make things easier for teams to get into a playoff? Absolutely not. I've never been a fan of that. It annoys me. I'm not a fan of the 12-team format. Go backwards. If you want to find a way to get a true national champion, go backwards. Give me an 8-team. Give me a 6-team. I'd even be cool going back to 4. I know that's not going to happen. The money talks, and there's absolutely no way these conferences, the commissioners, the TV networks would be comfortable going backwards to a 4-team format. Absolutely not. Now, the 12-team format could live on if they don't come to an agreement. The thing that is still on the table is 5 automatic qualifiers plus 11. The next best 11 teams to get an at-large berth into the playoff. I am here for that 100% of the time. Also, there's a format that the Big Ten would propose. Could be a 12-team format, a 14-team format, or even a 16-team format. I wouldn't be a fan of this if it actually happened, but the Big Ten having a seat at the table, they have a way to persuade the Southeastern Conference to potentially do what the Big Ten wants them to do. It's a 4-4-2-2-1-1 model. 4 automatic qualifiers for the Big Ten and SEC, 2 automatic qualifiers for the Big 12 and ACC, 1 automatic qualifier for the 5th highest ranked conference champion, which would be a G5 school. They get in an automatic berth for Notre Dame, and depending on if you go to 14, you're done. If you go to a 16, you have a couple more teams that are getting in an at-large berth. That's a mouthful, isn't it? And as I am saying that to you right now, think about me trying to explain this format to someone that doesn't play college football or isn't a fan of the sport. And I used to be at work. I used to work at the dealership. I talk about that quite a bit, actually. It's been quite a long time. Almost 5 years since I've worked at that place. But I think it's been over 5 years. But when I was there, I would talk about certain things going on in sports, and I would relay certain changes to college football, specifically to people that didn't know a thing about college football, didn't even care about it. And they were like, huh? That doesn't make sense. Why is that happening? I'm sitting there shrugging my shoulders like, I have no idea. I don't know why it's happening, but it is. And if you were trying to go to somebody just on the street, maybe not somebody you work with, just on the street randomly and just Start a conversation and say, hey, I want to run something by you to see if it makes sense to you. Because it doesn't make sense to me, but maybe I'm missing something and maybe it'll make sense to you. And as we talk and work our way through it, you say, oh, okay, that's how it makes sense. And you were to say, well, college football might expand to a 16-team playoff format. Or what are they at now? They're at a 12. Okay. Well, why would they go to 16 teams? To get more teams into the playoff? Well, why? Well, because there's more money involved. The conferences could make more money. They just want to keep expanding it for the money aspect. Okay, I can get that. I can understand that. Well, what's the format going to be? Will it simply be the top 16 teams in the country to get to the sport and the playoff? Which that may not even be a question. It could be something that would be assumed. And you say, well, no, that's not the way it's going to be. It will look like this. 2 conferences will get 4 automatic teams in. 2 more conferences will get 2 automatic teams in. There's a group of conferences that are a group of 5, will eventually be a group of 6 at this time, that will get the highest ranked conference from those 6 the highest ranked school that's a conference champion from those 6 conferences. They'll automatically get in. Oh, Notre Dame, if they're a top 16 team in the country, they're automatically in. And then they're going to fill in the last 2 spots how they see fit. They would look at you like you had 2 eyes and say, why? Why in the world are y'all doing this? That doesn't make any sense. And that's what I have been doing over and over and over and over again, is looking at this, trying to figure it out and say, okay, cool. Like, I can understand, because I've been around the sport for quite a long time, why certain people think the way they are, that are decision makers. But baby, this don't make no sense at all. And if there's a format that I believe would be best, give me the top 12 teams in the sport. Keep the 12-team format in 2026 and let it ride that way. If you have to go to 16, which that's not my belief, but if you have to go to 16, make it the top 16 teams in the country and let the thing ride. Bring back the BCS poll, which incorporates a lot of polls. You could even still use the committee's poll to incorporate that into the computer poll. Let that spit out the field. Oh, top 12 teams, BCS ranking, here's the top 12 teams. Bam, you're in the playoff. Oh, here's something else I would change. I would have your first and second round games on campus. The only game actually I would have that wouldn't be on campus is your national championship game. What does that sound like? The National Football League. With the National Football League, you get 14 teams into the playoff, 1 bye per conference, 7 teams per conference, and you don't play a neutral site game until the Super Bowl. That formula seems to work very, very well. They're not trying to appease anybody else, any other stadium that's around. If New Mexico said, hey, we want to host a NFL playoff game, they'd probably say, no, wrong, sorry. We know you're really close to us, but we're going to keep doing what we've been doing because it's been working. And y'all know what I say all the time, baby, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, college football is kind of broken at times. But I think if you had all the games on campus outside of the national championship game, it's more money for the conferences. It's more money for the schools that are hosting them. It's going to boost even the local economies there that, oh my gosh, we get to host 2 playoff games in December. Oh my goodness, sign me up. Oh, we need to get more food in. We need to make sure our hotels have the right amount of staff for this big old event. This is what should happen. However, I think we're going to get a format that's a 4-4-2-2-1-1 format. 4-4-2-2-1-3 will be exact. That's probably what's going to happen. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Even as I'm saying it, I know in the YouTube comments, someone's going to say, oh, you missed a number here, you missed a number there. Why did it happen? Because they're doing stuff that don't make no sense. And when you're doing stuff that don't make no sense, you might slip up here or there explaining it to somebody. Big 10, SEC, ACC, Big 12. I hope, sorry, Notre Dame. I know you're not in the conference, but I'll include you in this too. Make sure that moving forward, you do things that benefit the sport in the best way and make it better than it is right now, while trying to make sure you find a true national champion in the best way you can. I don't believe the committee is the best way to do that. I don't believe that what's going on with these playoff expansion talks is the right way to do that. No, not at all. Give me the number, put the top 12 or top 14 or top 16 teams into the playoff, allow home games, games on campus in every round until the national championship game. Let that thing happen. It should happen, but I don't think it will. What happened is something Ohio State was shocked by as a 4-star defensive back flipped from the Buckeyes to the Tar Heels. Thank you all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. So normally when we try to talk about recruiting news and notes and updates here on the show, we try to make it as positive as possible. And the everydayers know that it's very easy in recruiting to ride the wave. Oh, you got a lot of guys recruiting in a short period of time. Things are going good. Oh, man, you got a guy that flipped. You lost him. Oh, things are going bad. It's very easy in recruiting to go up and down and go up and down a roller coaster, just like I think it's actually the point. There's a new roller coaster that kept getting stuck up at the top, where it had a different way to start the roller coaster, and people just kept getting stuck. It seems like, well, in recruiting, you can get stuck. You try something new, and you get stuck while you're doing it. Well, the Buckeyes, I don't believe, tried anything new, nor did I think they got stuck. They did find themselves in a weird spot where they saw 4-star defensive back Jakob Weatherspoon flip from Ohio State to North Carolina. And this was as odd to me, I'm sure maybe odder to the Buckeyes, who have a connection with him, have been recruiting him, and felt like this came out of left field. Well, Bill Belichick, the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels, maybe he knows something about Weatherspoon that is a better fit for him out in North Carolina than it is at Ohio State. The weird part about this is Weatherspoon is from Avon, so you would assume a 4-star defensive back that's currently committed to Ohio State wouldn't flip to go to the East Coast, but that's what happened. Part of it may be the position that he is being recruited to play, where many people believe he is a safety. The Buckeyes already have a couple really good safeties, more borderline elite safeties, in Blaine Bradford and Simeon Caldwell. And so it's easy to understand why he's a third guy there at safety, but I think the Buckeyes are recruiting him to play corner or primarily nickel corner. And if that's the case, maybe go somewhere else that has a better fit for you and will help you get on the field a little bit faster, especially with the Ohio State waiting on a commitment from Braylon Womack, who's committing on August 22nd. They could potentially be getting a third safety into the fold. I'm not sure, but this is shocking to me. However, it's recruiting. And there's one tough lesson I had to learn about recruiting is that you have to expect players to flip to another school. Oh, or just decommit, reopen the recruitment, and then commit somewhere else down the road. You have to expect that. And nothing is set in stone until a player signs his national letter of intent. Well, sorry. I stuttered because, well, that's how things go in recruiting, because there have been guys that have signed their national letter of intent, Jaden Rashada, that found a way to get out of it. So really, nothing is set in stone. If you think something wrong happened, you might be able to find your way out of that contract. And that's college football. And that's collegiate athletics. It's weird. It's very weird. I just saw an article, I forget who wrote it. I believe it was on Sports Illustrated, about a kid at Indiana that had his academic eligibility waiver denied, trying to get a fifth year to play college basketball. I mean, you would think in most of my life, you got 4 years to play. You got 4 seasons you can play. Potentially, you can do 5, be on a team for 5 years, play 4 seasons, and that's it. All of a sudden, these dudes, I got a regular red shirt. I got 2 medical red shirts. What is going on here? Why are we just handing out so many opportunities for these young men to play? Now, granted, I am here for the opportunity, and if you can find a way to make an opportunity for yourself to play, go for it. I am here for it. But seems like the rules just keep bending for the players in favor of them when they really haven't done anything to get the rules been for them. It might be an unpopular opinion, and if it is, okay. The everydayers know. I just want to speak my mind, man. I just want to speak my mind. A lot of times what I say is the same thing you think as well, and maybe you're on the same page as me. Jakob Weatherspoon's decommitment, I only understand it because Bill Belichick's leading the North Carolina Tar Heel program. Here's why I don't understand it. Matt Patricia is the Buckeyes defensive coordinator. The man that helped make Belichick's defense so great back in the 2000s into the 2010s is at Ohio State. So wouldn't you want to be coached by the guy that was coached by Belichick? And you don't know how long Belichick's going to be there. He could leave before the season starts. You also don't know how long Patricia's going to be there. But there is a higher chance of Patricia being at Ohio State longer than Bill Belichick because he dating a girl, 24, 25 years old. She going to want to travel. She going to want to do this and that. She might not want to be on campus all the time. She might not want to do that. So I can see Belichick being there for a year, year and a half, and saying, deuces, I am up out of here. But this is recruiting. It's a tough pill to swallow. It's one of the toughest things that you have to deal with collegiate athletics is a kid's committed. You show them the state that the school is in. All of a sudden, about 5 or 6 months later, he's off to the East Coast. It could happen. The Buckeyes currently only have 20 guys committed in their 2026 class, which isn't the end of the world. But as you know, the Buckeyes still need more players. They need more defensive backs. They needed them anyway. They need more now. They need more D linemen. They need more offensive linemen. I would be perfectly happy with another tight end or another running back. Like, there is still more work to do. If Ryan Day understands that. And Ryan Day, in his interview with Nicole Auerbach, made a comment that there's no time to rest. And the conversation was mainly focused on Ryan Day winning the national championship, some feelings he has about winning the national championship, how he uses that to help him moving forward. But there's no time to rest. You can't look back to a year ago and say, well, we did this. We did this amazing thing. We're comfortable. We are fine. Things are going to be A-okay. You can't look back there and just rest on what you did previously. You got to keep going. You got to keep moving. The same thing goes with recruiting. You can't look at Jakob Weatherspoon's decommitment and being flipped by North Carolina and saying, well, he left. He was a great young man. Got to know his family. Got to know his people. He's from the area. But we're going to allow this to derail us and to get us off our spot and allow us to not stay focused. You can't do that, man. In recruiting, you got to keep going and going and going and going. And you just can't stop. It would have been great for Jakob Weatherspoon to be a Buckeye down the road, but he saw fit to flip from the Buckeyes to the Tar Heels and say, hey, man, I thought I'd be playing close to home. So mom and dad and my auntie and my uncle can come play the football, can come watch the football. Now they got to drive a little bit further because they got my position open for me. They have a clear path for me to get on the field as quickly as I would like to. Thank you all for tapping and Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the portal because my guy Brian Smith, he has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes in the college football landscape. You can find the portal and Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Thursday. We'll see you next time.